Here's how I've been using the Dyson V15 Detect and why it's become one of the cleaning tools I reach for the most. I have a dog that sheds constantly, so keeping the house clean feels like a never-ending job. There always seems to be hair on the floors, the stairs, the couch, and somehow even places I just cleaned the day before. That's actually one of the main reasons I decided to try this vacuum in the first place. Most days I start in the kitchen and living room because that's where my dog spends most of his time. For hard floors, I use the fluffy optic cleaner head, and one thing I noticed right away is that the light is designed to help reveal fine dust and pet hair that I would normally miss. It's surprising how much you can see under furniture, around baseboards, and along the edges of the room once you slow down and really look. When I move on to rugs or carpet, I switch over to the digital motor bar cleaner head. I've found that using the right attachment for the right surface makes a big difference. I have a mix of flooring in my home, so being able to move from one room to another without dragging around a cord has made cleaning much more convenient. Since I have a dog that sheds a lot, pet hair was honestly my biggest concern. I didn't want another vacuum that would just get tangled up after a few minutes of cleaning. For the main floors, I use the motor bar head, and for the couch, stairs, dog bed, and even my car, I switch to the hair screw attachment. That's probably my favorite tool because it makes cleaning smaller areas much easier. I still check the brush heads occasionally because no vacuum is completely maintenance-free, especially if you're dealing with long hair or a heavy shedder like mine. Another thing people usually ask about is whether it feels heavy. For regular floor cleaning, I don't really notice the weight because the cleaner head is supporting part of the machine. I notice it more when I'm using it as a handheld vacuum to clean shelves or carry it upstairs. I wouldn't describe it as lightweight, but I also don't find it difficult to use during my normal cleaning routine. Battery life has been good for the way I use it. I usually clean a few rooms at a time rather than the entire house in one session. I tend to leave it in auto mode because it's designed to adjust power based on the floor, type, and cleaning conditions, and that works well for everyday cleaning. The screen showing the remaining battery time is actually one of those features I didn't think I'd care about, but now I check it all the time. I also like how quickly it converts into a handheld vacuum. The attachments are easy to swap, and I use them more than I expected. The crevice tool is great for corners and between cushions, and the combination tool works well for smaller surfaces around the house. Emptying the bin is simple, and I try not to let it get too full since I use it several times a week. I also make sure to clean the filter regularly and let it dry completely before putting it back in. One thing worth mentioning is that it uses a trigger while you're vacuuming. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but I know that's something some people like to know before buying. If you have hand or wrist issues, it's probably something to keep in mind. For me, the biggest benefit has been convenience. Instead of waiting until the weekend to pull out a larger vacuum, I can grab this one for quick cleanups throughout the week. With a dog in the house, that's been a huge help because pet hair doesn't really wait for cleaning day. I also like that I can use the same machine for floors, stairs, furniture, and the car without needing multiple cleaning tools. It has definitely made it easier to stay on top of everyday messes. Is it the right vacuum for everyone? Probably not. It's definitely a premium product, and whether it's worth it really depends on your home and how often you clean. But if you're dealing with pet hair, mixed flooring, and the kind of everyday messes that seem to show up no matter how often you clean, I can see why so many people consider it. After using it in my home, I'd say the biggest difference for me has been how much easier it is to keep things clean between deeper cleaning days. When you have a dog that sheds as much as mine does, having something that's quick and easy to use makes a bigger difference than I expected. If you're considering it, I'd recommend thinking about your home, your floors, and how often you actually vacuum. That's really what will determine whether it's a good fit for you. For me, it's become part of my regular routine, and my dog is probably the reason it gets used as often as it does.